The latest. Thank you for love and support. I appreciate you all. DR Congo has never known peace ever since the painkiller came in contact with us and found out that we have a lot of mineral resources in Congo. And we know that there has been an intense fight in DR Congo for the past 2 weeks. Finally, the leaders have decided to unite together, have a summit at Tanzania, so that they will see how best they can resolve this situation in Congo. According to William Ruto, it's high time they all come together as a people to find a lasting solution to the conflict that is ongoing in DRC. One thing that the president of Tanzania, Samia Hassan Suluhu, said, and I'm very happy, is if they don't do anything now, they will go down in history as the bad and worst leaders Africans have ever known. Because you are our leaders to bring us together, to unite us, not leaders to sit down so that we will be divided. Like my people will say, that when you have another person in your house, the rain don't beat your things. They are talking about unity. So SADC and East Africa have finally decided to unite as a people to fight the common enemy so that the peace that we are all looking for in Congo will come to us. But currently, the president of Congo, Felix, is not around. But according to reports, he will be joining them very soon. So for now, Felix is absent. And they are thinking of how best they'll put this situation across the two parties or all the parties that are involved so that they all understand.
As regional leaders, history will judge us harshly if we remain still and watch the situation worsen day by day. It gives me a great pleasure and honor to welcome you all to the United Republic of Tanzania, and more specifically to the city of Dar es Salaam, the haven of peace, for this crucial joint EAC SADC summit convened to deliberate on the prevailing security situation in the Eastern DRC. Tanzania is profoundly honored to host this high-level meeting and remains eternally committed to the objective of promoting peace and security within the region and beyond. Similarly, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the Executive Secretary of East African Community and SADC and their entire teams for effectively coordinating this meeting within a short time. Excellencies, as we are all aware, DRC, a member of both the EAC and SADC, is still facing prolonged conflicts whose impact has transcended its borders and so creating far-reaching effects in neighboring countries. For the last couple of weeks, we have witnessed the spread of violence that has caused massive harm to human life, human displacement, and insecurity, which affected economic activities and disrupted cross-border trades. As regional leaders, history will judge us harshly if we remain still and watch the situation worsen day by day. And in line with the principle of African solutions for Africa's problems, our countries have a collective responsibility to ensure we urgently address the existing security challenges that have heavily impacted the well-being of innocent civilians. This joint summit meeting presents an opportunity to recommit our collective efforts in addressing the conflicts and reaffirm our sustainable peace and stability in the entire EAC and SADC regions. It is crucial that we find a durable solution that upholds sovereignty, promotes inclusivity, and ensures that the people of DRC can enjoy durable peace and security that they have been yearned for decades. Excellencies, as a steadfast advocate for peace in Africa, Tanzania is deeply concerned about the persistent insecurity in eastern DRC. The ongoing conflict not only destabilizes our brotherly nation, but also put serious dents on our consistent efforts to enhance regional integration. My country remains committed to supporting ongoing diplomatic initiatives to end conflicts in eastern DRC, and so we call on all parties involved in the DRC conflict to positively engage in negotiations, prioritize the well-being of its people, and commit to peaceful coexistence. Excellencies, our gathering here in Dar es Salaam should be an opportunity for us to have serious reflections and engage constructively on what needs to be done to assist our fellow member states in addressing security challenges. Despite the woven complexity of the matter we are dealing with, we should be confident that this meeting will come up with concrete proposals and measures to urgently address the existing challenges so as to avoid an impending humanitarian catastrophe. As active members of EAC and SADC, we have to remain resolute in our quest to see peaceful and stable regional blocs, with our countries standing tall and harmoniously coexisting. It is therefore my humble request to you, my colleagues, let us be united in our efforts to end violence, foster stability, and create an environment where peace, security, and development can thrive. Asante sana, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, obrigado.
I will take this very early opportunity to sincerely thank my dear sister, Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, for hosting this joint summit. After extensive consultations, when I requested her to host this summit, without hesitation, she offered these excellent facilities for us to engage in this exercise. My dear sister, thank you very much. We're truly grateful. Equally important, I appreciate the efforts made by the two regions through their respective communities to mobilize with urgency and convene separate extraordinary summits in order to deliberate on the concerning security situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Excellencies, together, we find ourselves standing face to face with a grave and protracted security, diplomatic, and humanitarian crisis in DRC, a situation that demands our immediate, collective, and sustained attention. The East region of DRC has been engulfed in a devastating conflict for over 2 decades now, and this tragedy has claimed thousands of lives, displaced countless civilians, inflicted unbearable suffering and loss, and set back the development momentum of one of the most promising countries in the world. The recent escalation of hostilities in Goma and the surrounding areas is a stark reminder of the increasing fragility the situation presents, and that only collective action to facilitate a negotiated solution will offer relief. Today, we join together in order to reiterate our calls to the parties to this tragic conflict to immediately cease hostilities and take positive action to allow meaningful dialogue aimed at restoration of stability. Specifically, we stand together to call on all parties to actualize the ceasefire, and specifically on the M23 to hold further advancement, and the armed forces of DRC to cease all retaliatory measures. An immediate ceasefire is the only way by which we can create necessary conditions for constructive dialogue and implementation of a comprehensive peace agreement. As members of the African Union and United Nations, we stand bound by fundamental principles of respect for the territorial integrity and sovereignty of nations and the principle of good neighborliness. These twin principles are the surest safeguards for the realization of peaceful coexistence. Equally, as responsible members of the international community are bound by the obligation to ensure the safety of diplomatic assets, civilians, and personnel, as well as peacekeepers within our countries. The wanton disregard for the sanctity of life, diplomatic missions, and peacekeeping, and peacekeepers as well, is not only a brazen demonstration of lawless and unprincipled pursuit of violent harm and destruction, it is a grave affront to the rules-based international order. Excellencies, our presence here underscores our consensus that the time for action is now. The lives of millions depends on our ability to navigate this complex and challenging situation with wisdom, clarity of mind, empathy for the millions whose lives and livelihoods have been plunged into uncertainty, concerns for DRC's lost opportunity to accelerate its growth and development, and a steadfast commitment to peace and justice. A terrible yet indisputable act is that the humanitarian cost of the conflict in the DRC has been staggering. Millions of civilians have been displaced and many lives under the persistent threat of violence, including sexual and gender-based violence against women and children, and the recruitment of children to take part in combat. We have a historic opportunity to rise to our moral duty of making the protection of civilians our foremost priority, and of taking measures to ensure that the necessary resources and support are provided. For many well-known reasons, the situation in DRC implicates the broader global community. Therefore, we call upon the international community to step up and do its part in supporting regional efforts in delivering for the DRC, and critically collaborating with the government of the DRC to deliver support and security to those most in need. It is clear that the conflict in DRC is complex, delicate, protracted, and involves multiple actors pursuing different interests. The issues at stake span a wide historical, economic, and political spectrum, run back in time for many decades, and spill across national and regional borders. There is also a clandestine international dimension at work, whose persistent, cynical, and destructive effects must neither be underestimated or ignored any longer. For this reason, it is equally clear that such a conflict cannot be resolved through military means. We must resist the temptation to think that we can somehow shoot or bombard our way into a solution in the face of such a complex situation. Instead, we have to agree that only a comprehensive diplomatic approach, one that addresses the root causes of the crisis, secures the historical integrity and territorial integrity of DRC, and affirms the sovereignty of its people and their aspirations for freedom, justice, and development. That is what will establish peace, and enduring peace at that, in DRC. Such an approach must also bring together multiple stakeholders, regional states, international bodies, political organizations, civil society groups, and the Congolese government itself to dialogue and collaborate in order to explore, develop, and implement a lasting solution. Excellencies, I am confident that you agree with me that dialogue is not a sign of weakness. It is a testament to our collective wisdom and strength, both as leaders and as communities. It shows our capacity to articulate issues patiently and clearly, listen to each other, consult comprehensively with a common goal in mind, and negotiate patiently until we reach a better outcome than the bitter results of bloodshed. It is in this spirit that we must encourage all parties to put aside their differences and mobilize for engagement in constructive dialogue aimed at achieving the sustainable solution of conflict by peacefully addressing all underlying issues. I believe that we have a singular opportunity to build on the gains and lessons of Luanda and Nairobi peace processes. We have a historic opportunity as the broader neighborhood of the DRC to mobilize our collective will into a fused, single, and coherent initiative towards the resolution of this complex crisis. Such an approach will bring all our assets to bear and minimize the possibility of parallel initiatives that duplicate and undermine progress, including creating unnecessary competition as we strive for peace. My dear brothers and sisters, this calls for our unwavering political support. I therefore urge Your Excellencies at this extraordinary joint summit to deploy our best effort and muster our total commitment to facilitate a sustainable settlement that lays the foundation for a stable and prosperous democratic Republic of Congo. I dare say, Excellencies, the situation may be complex, it may be protracted, it may have been with us for years, but I believe the situation in the DRC can be solved, should be solved, and must be solved. For this reason, it may also be prudent for the consolidated single EAC SADC initiative on this matter to be supported by a strong secretariat that can provide the necessary coordination, monitoring, and enforcement to ensure effective implementation of outcomes. The international community must stand in solidarity with the people of DRC during this time by aligning their support with this initiative. I conclude, Excellencies, by affirming our robust commitment to achieving sustainable peace and development and integration across the region. The security of DRC is essential not only for the stability of the country, but also to the prosperity and cohesion of the entire EAC and SADC. We call upon all parties to prioritize dialogue, cooperation, and above all, the protection of civilian lives. I thank you once again for being able to be here on this very important mission. It is a historic mission because for the first time, two regional economic blocs come together as a testament of the seriousness of the challenge we face, but also underscoring our commitment to provide leadership to resolve this issue. Thank you very much. May the Almighty God bless all of you and bless our region. Asanteni sana, merci beaucoup, Mayor Brigato. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, Mr. William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya and Chairperson of the East African Community and co-chair of this summit. Your Excellency, Dr. Samia Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania and Chairperson of the Organ on Politics, Defense and Security Cooperation. Your Excellencies, heads of state and government from our regional bodies, honorable ministers who are here, the SADC Executive Secretary, His Excellency Elias Magosi, the EAC Secretary General, His Excellency Mrs. Veronica Ndua, comrades and friends. It is my distinct honor and privilege to make these remarks of welcome to this historic gathering. Firstly, may I express heartfelt gratitude to you, my dear sister and colleague, Your Excellency, President Dr. Samia Hassan, along with the government and people of the United Republic of Tanzania, for the warm welcome and gracious hospitality extended to my delegation since our arrival in this beautiful city of Dar es Salaam. In the same spirit, I also extend sincere appreciation to my dear brother, Your Excellency, President William Ruto, for your astute leadership for the East African community and for agreeing to meet at short notice. Equally, our respective secretariats, senior officials and Council of Ministers are commended for their diligent work in preparation for this joint summit. Your efforts have laid a solid foundation for our discussions today. Allow me, on behalf of SADC, the government of the Republic of Zimbabwe, and indeed on my own behalf, to once again convey heartfelt condolences and deepest sympathies to the member states and families of the brave peacekeepers who lost their lives in the service of the people of DRC and indeed the cause of peace. We also recognize the loss of civilian lives and livelihoods that has resulted from the increased insecurity and insurgency in Eastern DRC. Our prayers continue to be made for the affected families and the communities. Your Excellencies, this historic summit of our two regional blocs is testament to our shared commitment to the founding values of the African Union. Such joint initiatives must see us scale up bold and decisive actions to silence the guns on our continent, but most immediately implement lasting solutions to the escalating conflict and humanitarian crisis in the Eastern DRC. Undoubtedly, ongoing instability, growing hostilities, and the ever-increasing number of internally displaced persons in the Eastern DRC has far-reaching consequences, not only for the people of DRC alone, but also for our regions and the African continent's African continent as a whole. The unity, solidarity, and unbreakable bonds of the peoples of the continent must stand the test of such trying times as we face. We must remain as solidly united as we were during the struggle for complete emancipation and independence of Africa from colonialism. We thus have a duty and a collective responsibility to comprehensively, frankly, tackle and address the various challenges that are impeding the realization of peace and security for the people of Eastern DRC. Drawing from our rich African values and heritage, and further emboldened by the spirit and letter of the United Nations Charter, the constitutive act of the African Union, as well as the treaties of both SADC and the EAC, let us seize this opportunity to ensure convergence and a coordinated response which is mutually reinforcing towards one common objective. I thus challenge all of us to approach the agenda before us with openness, honesty, flexibility, and commitment to building a lasting peace for Mother Africa. The all-encompassing interests of the people of the DRC must be at the core of our deliberations. Let us do much more to realize sustainable peace in our sister republic of the DRC in our lifetime. To date, SADC notes and acknowledges the progress made under the Luanda and Nairobi processes aimed at silencing the guns, as well as facilitating dialogue among all parties to the conflict. This summit, therefore, should leap us forward towards a concrete roadmap to help resolve the ongoing crisis. As the leaders entrusted to nurture and facilitate unity, peace and development in this era, we cannot let the peoples of our regions down. Their hope is in us here. The SADC bloc remains unwavering and committed to continue playing its part. With these remarks, I wish the summit fruitful deliberations. I thank you. Asante sana, Tatenda.
We have to all unite as a people. We have to do away with the division. What we, the young ones today, are looking for is unity. We are looking for leaders that will bring us together. We, the young ones, have now understood that we are never different, regardless of where the colonial master grouped you. So we see ourselves as one people, and we want our leaders to act as such, to stop the talking and bring unity among us. We want to live as one people, fight a common goal, so that we'll move Africa ahead and give the next generations that are coming a better Africa, and not to be fighting among ourselves. We can't have the pink color among us and we will be fighting among ourselves instead of always teaming up against those that are not having the same skin color as ours. If the other ones are fighting the dark skin, why should we rather be fighting among ourselves to please the pink color? The summit is still ongoing. They are still to meet, to discuss, to deliberate, and bring out whatsoever that it is, so that at the end of the day, they will resolve everything and will have peace in DR Congo. According to Samia Suluhu, that there have never been peace in Congo, but it has become intense in the last 2 weeks, and we have lots of lives and properties. And economic, our economy has been struggling. The African economy is struggling already. And instead of us to utilize the time right now to see how best we are going to give our economy a better strength, we are rather using it to collapse it. So that we have to also look at these areas and find a lasting solution that we need for us to have peace. If Congo is set free, Africa will be able to be free, and we will be united. Our unity and our strength lies on Congo. Congo is the center of everything in Africa, and that's why the oppressor is doing everything possible to make sure that Congo will never know peace. And our leaders must not also give in to what this oppressor is saying. You have to unite as a people and fight them. Our forefathers did not see themselves as different people, and that was why they were able to team up together to fight oppression. It wasn't only one specific group of people that fought. They never saw themselves speaking different languages, and for that matter, they are not one people. That was it. If they saw themselves like today we are seeing because of what the pink color did to us, I don't think today we'll sit there and say we are celebrating Independence Day, we are doing that. No. So it's high time the leaders, you also leave a better legacy like you are calling for, so that one day we'll sit there and remember you, that you have been able to fight and sacrifice everything to get us the peace and the unity we want in Africa. We don't want to see you talk, and when you get up, the next 3 more months that will come, we will not hear that. And there is Congo war again. There is conflict between Rwanda, and there is conflict between South Africa. It shouldn't be about only Congo. We don't want to see any war among ourselves in Africa. That's all that the youth are saying. No more conflict among ourselves. The strength we use to fight ourselves, let's use that strength to unite to fight the oppressor. The enemy is the one that is different from our skin color. That is the enemy. We do not have enemies among ourselves as long as we are in the same color. Your enemy is a different color. So everything that we are doing as a people, we should be ready to fight those other people to get us peace, because they are not fighting themselves. They are doing everything possible to bring conflict between you, the blacks. They are not fighting among themselves. So why is it that we are allowing them? And as we are busy fighting, they are busy carrying the natural resources, and we are poor, and they're going to sit there and tell us how they are helping us, how they are cutting their aid, how they are doing what, as if without Africa they can survive. So we have to let them see that yes, the time has come that now we no longer see the borders and the division that they've created. We want to live as a people, as one people that we were before they came. So we have to always bear that in mind. And we are hoping that our leaders will do the needful, have one army, fight the common enemy that is destabilizing Africa. So we'll see what will come out of their summit. And we are hoping that a lasting solution will come for us to smile at the end of the day. We are one people. We are one, and will continue to be one people, living under one umbrella, from one African descent, from one ancestor, and we are one. That should always be our national anthem. The Africans, we are one people, regardless of the language that you speak. Forget about the grouping that the white people did. We do not have what we call Ghana, Nigeria. When they came, we were having empires. That's all that we know. And under the empire, we have different people. So we are one people. United we stand, divided we fall. So let's fight the common enemy, which is mental slavery. And that's the biggest enemy of Africa. So let's keep sharing and educate our brothers and sisters, and hoping that our leaders will do the needful for us to have a better Africa that we are always yearning for. United we stand, divided we fall. And united we stand forever and ever. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa and in Tanzania.